Alright my friends and fellow West Ham fans, welcome back to the Irons United YouTube channel, and have we got something special for you today. Today myself and the rest of the lads here at Irons United are going to give you our 2019-2020 season's predictions where West Ham United are concerned. We've split this into 8 separate categories and some of the answers make for some very interesting viewing. So without further ado ladies and gents, let's crack on with our predictions for the forthcoming season. So we start with a negative. We're going to talk about worst player this season, and I really think this is a toss-up between maybe 2 or 3 players, but I'm actually going to go with Aaron Cresswell. Might not be a popular choice, but over the last couple of seasons I've really just seen Cresswell go backwards. Seems to pick up a lot of niggly injuries as well. It costs him, and I just think with Masuaku signing a brand new contract recently and the faith that Pellegrini seems to have in the player, there was vast improvement in him as well towards the tail end of last season. I think that Masuaku is going to be the starting left back. I think that this might lead to Cresswell being a bit rusty when he does come in, so I'm going to go with Aaron Cresswell being our worst player this season.
Okay, worst player of the year. This is a really tough one because I'll tell you what, I will go for Masuaku on the left hand side. I know it's debatable, I know, but I'll go Masuaku.
Worst player for me will be Carlos Sanchez. A lot of fans out there who I probably agree with is that he doesn't look at all up for it, doesn't look up to standard. He wasn't when he was at Villa previously, and he didn't do anything for the very short time he had at West Ham last season, and he doesn't look that brilliant in pre-season, despite an assist the other day from Dean Garner, so probably going to be Sanchez for me.
Worst player has to be Cresswell, in my opinion. I could have said Masuaku in terms of how defensively poor he is. But with Masuaku, he does offer something going forward, in my opinion, and you see some improvements. But with Cresswell, I just think he's completely finished. I don't know. I just think he's a liability in my opinion. I know Masuaku's a liability, but I think Cresswell's more of a liability. I don't. Cresswell offers nothing for me. He doesn't offer nothing defensively. He offers nothing going forward as well. In this modern day age, you're going to need pace going forward and back in terms of as a fullback. And Cresswell, he doesn't have that for me.
Worst player for me, if hopefully we don't again try not be too negative, but I think I really hope he doesn't. But Ogbonna, I just don't rate him at all, to be honest. I think he's a bit of a calamity, always has been since he's joined the club. I think he's well known for the goals he's scored against Liverpool and Tottenham, but apart from that, I think he's a calamity at the back, and yeah, I don't think he's going to really add anything to our side.
It's a toss-up for me between 2 players. I don't even think they're going to start, but for me, it's either going to be Angelo Ogbonna or Aaron Cresswell. They're both. Cresswell just seems to have lost his legs these days, and he can't do what he used to do. Ogbonna's always been an accident when it's happening. His pre-season has been absolutely awful. I couldn't pick them apart, but for me, I'm going to have to give you a joint answer and say it's Ogbonna and Cresswell are going to be our worst players.
Well, there are 2 options for worst player of the season, worst player of the year. You all know I'm not a Masuaku fan, and I think there are going to be times when he's going to let us down. But there's only one player in the squad that's worse than Masuaku, and that's Carlos Sanchez. So if Carlos Sanchez doesn't get sold on and he starts coming into the team, then I reckon he's definitely going to be our worst player of the year.
Well, worst player. It's difficult doing these kind of things because you always want all the players at West Ham to perform well. Again, I'm picking at straws. Maybe Ogbonna. He does like to give away the odd penalty every now and then. Cresswell at left back does make some really rash decisions at times. I'm not going to put Masuaku in there because I back him at left back. Go on, Arthur. So between Cresswell and Ogbonna, maybe Chicharito.
Worst signing of the season. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. It's hard to say. Look, of what I've seen of Roberto so far as sub-keeper or second keeper, not that impressed. So, look, let's just hope Fabianski doesn't get injured. Whether Roberto feature in the cup games, who knows? But not overly impressed with him so far.
Worst signing for me is not a great one, but I think it'll probably be Martin because he's a third choice goalkeeper. He'll be in the reserves, so we won't see much of him. And it'll maybe almost be like, what was the point in signing him? But if he does a job and he helps out where he can, then won't have to be a worse signing. It'll just be some, a signing we won't take much notice of, but for good reasons. So that's been Martin for me.
For me personally, with worst signing, I feel with worst signing at this stage at the moment, I feel it's a bit I think it's a bit harsh to say a worst signing at the moment. I feel that you need to be saying worst signing when you get to like the middle of the season or the end of the season. But if I had to pick one, I would just say Roberto. I'll just have to pick him, to be honest. From what I've seen so far, he looks a bit shaky. He's had a few mistakes in him, but we've had that with keepers in the past, so I can't really hold too much on him. So I think that he, at the end of the day, he is a backup keeper. So I think it is a bit harsh, but I just had to pick one at the end of the day.
Try not to stay too negative, but we have to choose it. So I'm going to go for worst signing of the season. And I think at the end of the year, I really hope it's not true, but I do worry about Roberto, to be honest, because I don't think we've upgraded in terms of that position. If you think about Adrian leaving and Roberto replacing him, but let's hope I'm wrong and he has a decent season when he steps in for Fabianski, as long as he's not injured. So yeah, we'll see.
At the point of recording this, we've only signed 4 players, so from that I'm going to go for the default answer, which is going to be David Martin. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's going to have a bad time. I don't think he's going to play. He's been brought in as a third choice keeper, and injuries notwithstanding, he's not going to play. So purely the fact he's going to get no game time, I'm going to say David Martin.
Worst signing, Dave Martin, just because I really back Aller and Fornals to have a good season. If Martin makes a couple of mistakes or doesn't play, then he's our worst signing. But I'm picking at straws really. I want them all to perform well.
Our worst signing, that's an interesting one because we've signed only 5 players. We're about to sign a 5th one in Cardoza, who's a massive prospect from the Portuguese league. So we've got Roberto, we've got Martin, we've got Aller, we've got Fornals and Cardoza coming up. So out of those 5, I think a lot of people are going to go for Roberto because I don't think they've been that impressed with his pre-season. But for me, our worst signing, because we probably won't see much of him, is going to be Martin.
Another negative is that of worst signing, and it's not really a nice one to do, is it? But I'm just going to go with one of the goals. I'm going to go with Roberto, just basically because he's probably going to play more games than Martin. Martin could be seen as a bad signing because he's not going to play, but he's clearly there just to make up the homegrown numbers, isn't he? So yeah, I'm going to go with Roberto, the new goalkeeper. Not really convinced by him in pre-season, and when Fab's back fit, we probably won't see too much of him anyway, but just don't really have too much faith in the player should he have to be called upon.
Breakthrough player this year, if he gets his chance, will be Nathan Holland for me. Nothing but good things from the youth academy. A lot of people saying he didn't speak a thing on the wing, didn't go on a few chances this season, but he hasn't quite broken through like we hope. He might even be going on loan this season. So Nathan Holland for me, if he can stay injury free.
Breakthrough player, I'm going to say Jack Wilshere. The reason why I'm going to say this, with all the injuries and his fitness levels that have not been, it's been suspect, as you might say, but he's really, really just trying to prove himself. He's just trying to prove his worth, and I feel this season that he's just going to break out so much. Wilshere is a very talented player. You've seen it when he's at Arsenal. And at times, you can see every time Jack Wilshere's in midfield, he makes such a huge difference. That's why I think personally, I think he'll be a breakthrough player this season. You will see a different Wilshere, and it's going to help us. It's going to help elevate us, I reckon. He's going to be one of the players that's to look out for.
Breakthrough player for me is going to be Ben Johnson. I think he has shown his ability, his calm and collectiveness in coming into the first team. It's not really phased him at all. He broke through a little bit last season and shown that he can take that pressure at the highest of standards. So he has played a few games over the pre-season, and I really do think he's got an opportunity this year to break through with the position and the injury records of the players in the position he's in. I think Ben Johnson will really shine this year, so I look forward to seeing him.
I think the most obvious choice again would be Ben Johnson. You know, he had one game last year, done terrifically well in pre-season, and honestly, by Christmas I could see him being the starting right back. If it's not Ben Johnson, I think the other guy I'd go for is Nathan Holland. You know, he's been on the cusp of the first team for a year, maybe even 18 months now, and he seems to get an injury just when it hits him. But Ben Johnson, followed up by Nathan Holland.
Breakthrough player this season, in my opinion, is going to be Ben Johnson. I've really seen a lot of him in the past couple of weeks and last season, where he really performed well against Man City. I think he's an astute right back. He's only 19 and he'll definitely get some game time this season. If Zabaleta, especially with his legs, doesn't play and Fredericks picks up a couple of injuries, then Ben's going to have a chance, and I think he's going to take it with both hands and get our breakthrough player.
Our breakthrough player of the season is an obvious one. It's going to be Ben Johnson. We've seen already, you know, in the game he played last season against Man City, he was quite composed for such a young player. We've seen him in pre-season. He's been excellent. He's played at left back and he's played at right back. And for that, he's going to be our breakthrough player of the season.
Breakout player of the season for me is probably a bit of an obvious choice, but I am going to go with Ben Johnson. I think that he's clearly proven himself in pre-season. Manuel Pellegrini really likes the look of the player. You know, he got a chance against City last season at left back, did very, very well, and then has really been involved heavily in pre-season. And I think he is almost on the verge of playing himself into the first team at the moment, that he's done that well. And I think, should he get his chance, should there be injury, should there be a dip in form for, you know, either the right or the left side where fullback is concerned, Ben Johnson will come in and take his chance and be the breakout player this season.
Okay, best breakthrough player. Again, this is a tough one because it really depends how many of the youth feature. But I think you've got to have a shout for Diangana and possibly somebody else from the under-23s. It really depends whether Silva recovers and makes it. But I'll go Diangana. I think it's a great season to kick on.
Top scorer for West Ham. For me, it just has to be one guy, Sebastian Haller. If you've known his game from Frankfurt last season, you know that he is an absolute problem. And you can see this season, you see snippets of what he's capable of. I feel that he's the complete striker. He's a striker that we've been begging for so long. And I think the more game time he gets, you're going to see a lot more in his game. You could see straight away of how his hold-up play, his link-up play, how he makes like the runs that he makes. It's just very, very intelligent. It's whether we can pick up quick enough to like find him with the runs that he makes. But you know, I feel personally that he will be the top scorer. I could just see it coming, to be honest.
Top goal scorer, I'm going to go for someone a little bit different, and I think I'm basing this maybe solely on the fact that the players that Pellegrini's bringing in and then potentially the style of play he is going to go for. So I'm actually going to go for the diamond, the jewel, Manuel Lanzini. I think we've seen some of his goals and positioning he's been in during pre-season, playing a little bit more forward, getting an opportunity to score goals. Maybe a lot of the pressure has been taken off him over the midfield roles, so I think he's going to chip in with a lot more goals this season. So yeah, I'm going to go for a midfield top goal scorer, Manuel Lanzini.
Who's going to be the top scorer this season? I'm going to go with the most obvious answer and say Sebastian Haller. We brought him in to score goals. There's enough delivery now in the team to do it, so if your main focal point up front, your main centre forward, I think we're going to have to put it in him. If somehow he doesn't be the top scorer, then I think your next obvious choice is Anderson, but for me, I think it's going to be Haller.
Top goal scorer this season, it has to be Sebastian Haller. I think he brings so much class and a physical presence from Eintracht, and he's the man we're going to rely on to score goals. And I really have faith that he's going to do the job for us. So, yeah, definitely going to be Sebastian Haller.
Our top goal scorer, I'm going to go with Sebastian Haller again. I think he's going to be getting near 20 goals this season. I think we finally found ourselves a striker that is going to be scoring for fun, and he's going to be assisting a lot as well. Yeah, I'm going to earmark him down for getting very high double figures. If he gets 20 goals, we'll be laughing, won't we?
Top goal scorer for the season, I think maybe it's an obvious choice, the one I'm going with, but it is between probably two players. I'm going to go with Sebastian Haller. He's clearly more than just a striker. I do think he's going to help players like Lanzini for now score a lot more goals this season. Wouldn't be surprised if one of those two, potentially even Anderson, finishes top goal scorer because of the work that Haller gets through. But the guy is clearly a very good goal scorer, deadly in front of goal, and I'm hoping he is the man to finally break the striker curse that has been there at West Ham for some time now. And I think he's going to go 15-20 goals this season. Well, fingers crossed he does, and finish top goal scorer.
Okay, top goal scorer. I've got a lot of faith in our new signing, Haller, actually. So, Haller! There we go. He's our top scorer.
Our top goal scorer in the season will be Holler, because I think it has to be. We spent a good amount of money on him, a record signing, and hopefully he does the business and we don't regret buying him. So fingers crossed. I don't know, maybe 30 goals he'll get this season, you know, give or take, you know, come on you eyes.
Best signing for me will be Fornals. I think he looks like a proper baller. And you know, you've got to look at Pellegrini's former teams, Malaga, Man City, and the style of play that he creates. He's looking for these little tricky players. So I really do think he is going to be a fantastic addition, taking a lot of pressure off of Lanzini. And obviously we've seen what Lanzini and Payet were capable of in the past, but you add Wilshere, Yarmolenko and all these players to this equation, I think it's going to give a lot of freedom to players like Fornals to really shine. So I think he'll be our signing of the season.
I know I just said I think Haller's going to be top scorer, but I think our best signing is going to be Fornals. We've been lacking that guy that unlocks the defence for a couple of years now, you know, that guy that can make that killer pass, and I think that's what Fornals has been brought in for. And if he has the impact on the team that he's expected to have, I think it's going to make a massive difference, even more so than Haller. So for me, I'm going to go signing of the season is going to be Fornals.
Best signing, obviously it's a toss-up between Fornals and Haller. I'm just going to go with Sebastian Haller because I think he's going to score 13 plus goals this season, which would be a great return for him in his first campaign for us. I just think he's 6'3", he's already found the net for us, and he just looks such a well-rounded striker. He's going to bang in the goals, and Fornals are back to have a good season, but I think Haller is just going to trump him.
I think our best signing is going to be Sebastian Haller. We've already seen his technique in pre-season, the way he links up play, he holds the ball up well, he's a strong striker, he's got an eye for goal, he can bring other players into the game, and he's going to be a handful against an awful lot of teams. So I think he's the one for that nomination.
So best signing this season, I think it's going to be between, you know, just one of two players. We've signed 4 to this point, potentially more coming in. But I do see Fornals and Sebastian Haller being heavily involved in the first team all season long. And I am going to go with Haller as best signing. I think that Haller, as good as he is as a striker, his hold-up play is next to none. He's pacey, he's physical. He is going to get as many assists as he does goals, in my opinion, because of the way he helps play people in. You only had to see the way that he turned the defender and provided for Wilshere in pre-season game against Bilbao, and I think he's going to do plenty of that. I think he's just going to be the most effective signing we've made in some time.
Okay, best signing of the season, I think it's going to be Haller, actually. I think he's going to have a storming season, so looking good.
Best signing for me will be Fornals. I think he looks absolute mustard in pre-season. A lot of the press are saying that in the next couple of years he could be worth 100 million. So the fact we've bought him for around 20, and a lot of people are saying good things about him, only bodes well, and he looks clever. So hopefully he'll be our best player, and I think he will do.
Best signing. See, for me, I could say Halia. I know I could say that, but for me, I reckon it's gonna be Pablo Fornals. The reason being is he's the type of playmaker that we've needed. He's the type. I think he's gonna be pulling strings massively. His passing, his vision. You could just see snippets of it straight away, and I feel that he's gonna get a lot of assists this season. I just feel that his thinking, like the way he thinks, that it's just, I think it's just a level above other people.
If he gets the game time, I think the young hammer of the year has already been decided, and I think it will go to Ben Johnson. If he gets in the first team like Rice did last year and has an effect and plays a load of games, I think it's already written it'll be him. It'll take something drastic at the moment from someone else to cut him up. So for me, young hammer of the year is already going to be Ben Johnson.
Young hammer of the year, it's a toss-up between Rice, Diangana and Ben Johnson. Well, I'm going to go Ben Johnson. I think he's going to have a breakthrough season. And Grady Diangana, because he's also going to have a breakthrough season. You'll see why I'm not putting Declan Rice in this one.
I think our young hammer of the year is going to be obvious. It's going to be Declan Rice again. He's still only, 20 years old, 21 years old, coming up to 21 years old. He's become a mainstay in the team. You know, I can't remember the last time I saw Declan Rice have a bad game. You know, he's such a linchpin that we've become accustomed to him already. And we can't, we've got to remember he's only really had, one and a half full seasons so far. So yeah, for me, the young hammer of the year will be Declan Rice.
A young hammer of the year for me this season kind of follows suit where my breakout player is concerned. If the guy gets enough game time, I think we can only be looking at Ben Johnson this season. If not, then potentially it could go to someone else, and I am going to go with Declan Rice as my overall choice, just because I just don't think Ben Johnson will get as much game time as maybe we think he will, because it's all going to be relying on injuries and a dip in form for him to be given his chance. So I am going to go with Declan Rice to get young hammer of the year. We all know about Declan Rice now. We all know he's a fantastic player. He did come out recently and say that West Ham have to be aiming for Europe. He knows what he has to do to improve as a player, and I think if a player recognises that he can get better year on year, we'll see an even better Declan Rice this season.
Okay, so young hammer of the year, I'm going to go for Diangana. I think, it's going to be a breakthrough year for him.
Young Hammer of the Year award will actually be Ben Johnson. I know I've said Holland will be the breakthrough player this season, but if Johnson gets the chance, which he could do, because Frederick seems to be a bit inconsistent with his fitness, and Zabaleta isn't going to last every single game this season, that's for sure. If Johnson gets his chance, especially in the cup games, and pushes them from there, then Johnson for me. He looks mustard, looks a bit. So yeah, Johnson for me.
Young hammer of the year. Well, it's going to be Declan Rice. I feel that he's going to step up even more this season. For me, I think he's a future captain. We need to keep him. We need to keep him desperately. You could just tell that he's got the leadership. You can just tell he's got it in him. He's got the hunger. He's got the fight. For me, that he's my young hammer of the year, I should say.
Young hammer of the year. I know I've mentioned to you about Ben Johnson, but I think also this one could stand out. It could be Nathan Holland. I think he looks like a great talent, and would love to see him get a little bit more game time this year. I really do think he will as well, because I think Pellegrini knows exactly what he's doing with the youth players and the nice mix of young, youthful, and the experienced players. So yeah, Nathan Holland for the young hammer of the year.
And now the big one, hammer of the year. There's obviously some fantastic contenders: Allaire, Fornals, Anderson, Antonio, Fabianski. I expect all of them to have good seasons. But I'm going to say Declan Rice. I think he's going to really step it up again from last season. He's matured. He's been in the Premier League now for a couple of seasons. And I really, really think he's going to be the driving force for us in midfield. So, man like Deckers. Go on, lad.
I think our hammer of the year this season is going to be Jack Wilshere. He's shown an awful lot of promise in pre-season. If he stays fit, he's going to be an immense player for us, and I think he's the one that's going to really gel the central midfield and the attacking midfield together. I think he's got the qualities and the technical skills that we need, and if he stays fit, he's going to be our Hammer of the Year. And as a fail-safe, if he doesn't stay fit, then I can see Fornals. Yeah, I can see Fornals becoming the Hammer of the Year because of his technique. He's going to be an excellent player. He's got pace. He's going to take on players, and he's going to cause a hell of a lot of problems to a lot of midfield, to a lot of opposing teams.
And for Hammer of the Year this season, I am actually going to go with the jewel in the crown, and it is that of Manuel Lanzini. I have been so impressed with Manuel Lanzini in pre-season. His link-up play with Fornals, Aller and Anderson could be deadly going into the new season, and I really do think that the two new signings, the potential that we have, could really open doors for Lanzini this season. I've been critical of him in recent years. I think he's a little inconsistent. I think a man with his class and his qualities really should take games by the scruff of the neck, but I think this season is the one that he's going to do it, and by the time it's all said and done, he will deserve his Hammer of the Year prize.
And overall Hammer of the Year, I think Fabianski is going to have a great season again. He's going to save our bacon. But I'm actually going to go for Fornals. Fornals is going to be our top player this season.
Hammer of the Year award, I'm going to go for Fornals. I think he looks a brilliant player, really tidy. He looks very cool and calm on the ball, and you need someone like that in his position in the Premier League. He's going to do bits this season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him, and I think he'll have a consistent season. I think he'll start providing, good performances for the club. So Hammer of the Year for me will be Fornals. Let's see how that goes. Come on, your minds.
Yeah, my Hammer of the Year, I'm going to pick Lanzini. The reason why is with the injuries that he's had last season, then that knee injury was the awful knee injury. He wasn't, when he came back, he wasn't sharp. I felt that he wasn't ready coming back. I feel that even though he had a long layoff, I feel that we kind of rushed him in a way to come back. You could just tell that he just wasn't up to scratch. I think we should have saved him for next season, just kept him fit, And you can see now, coming into the pre-season, you can see like a different Lanzini. You can see him, he's sharp, he's energetic, and you see he's ready to go. And I think this season you're going to see a whole new Lanzini. And for me, you're going to see a lot of goals and assists from Lanzini. And you're going to see a Lanzini that's going to be on fire. And for me, he's going to be the Hammer of the Year.
Finally, Hammer of the Year. I think I have to go alongside my prediction for top goal scorer, and that's Manuel Lanzini. I just think he's going to get a lot more freedom this year, so it's less pressure on him to do the hard work in the background, running all over the shop, making tackles, all that sort of stuff. We just want him producing at the top level, and I just think this could be his year. I'm really excited to actually see, we've got some great new signings and players with hopefully no injuries, Wilshere, Yarmolenko, but I think the plaudits will be on Manuel Lanzini, so I'm going to tip him for Hammer of the Year.
Hammer of the Year award. He missed out on it last year, coming second. They picked up Young Hammer of the Year, and I think this year is going to go one better, and I think it's going to be Declan Rice. If he has as much of an impact and he plays as well this year as he did last year, I think hands down he'll pick it up. He was unlucky not to get it last year, but Fabianski played so well. But for me, I think this year's Hammer of the Year is going to be Declan Rice.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say we're going to finish 6th this season. I think some of the teams above us are going to struggle. Chelsea, with Frank Lampard, I don't think they're going to do as well as they're hoping for. Plus the fact that they're limited in the transfer window at the moment. I think Arsenal are going to flatter to deceive, and they're going to lose games that they shouldn't be losing. I think Man U will do well. City and Liverpool obviously will continue to do well. I bite my tongue when I say that Spurs will. And I think 6th place is up for grabs. I certainly don't see us any lower than 7th. There are going to be other teams that are going to be going for that 6th spot as well, the likes of Leicester. But I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying 6th place.
And finally, ladies and gents, my prediction for where West Ham are going to finish this season is 8th position. I know a lot of West Ham fans believe that potentially we could move on and finish in a European place, but I still think the squad is a little bit thin to do that. I also look at the likes of Leicester, Everton and Wolves, who have done very good business of building very good teams, a lot like us, and they're going to be tough teams to beat this season, and they're all going to be going for the same prize of top 6. I think it's going to be a case of baby steps for Manuel Pellegrini this season, and I think 8th place will be a very, very good finish for West Ham. There's a bit of, a lack of strength in depth where the squad's concerned, and I think ultimately that is what will cost us top 6, but there's always next season.
Right, so where do I think West Ham will finish this season? I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle again. I think we'll be good going forward, struggle in defence. It depends whether we can score more than we concede, but I think optimistic 7th, but I fear something like 9th, but hopefully 7th.
My predictions for this season are as follows. I think West Ham will finish, well, they have to finish 5th. If we're going to achieve anything in the long term, then we need to start pushing ourselves and finally start to climb that table, not just hang around the mid-table. Let's get Europe and start pushing on 5th for me.
Where will West Ham finish? It will be interesting season, I reckon. I think top 6 is wide open. I think, personally, I could see either Arsenal, Chelsea or Man United dropping out the top 6. Taking, I think, the likes of Leicester, West Ham, Everton or Wolves could take advantage. Who's going to take advantage? We'll have an exciting season. There will be, attacking wise, I think we'll see a lot of changes. But I think defensively, there'll be a lot of issues defensively that will cost us getting top 6. So I think probably 7th or 8th. But if I had to pick one, I'll say 7th. 7th and a cup run, that will probably do for me,
Where will West Ham finish this season? God, last year I got carried away with my predictions and I think I said the top 4, but hey, it was the first time we spent a lot of money. This season I'm going to be a little bit more reserved, and I think if we have a lucky season in terms of injuries, even though I don't believe we've got great squad depth, and potentially with a few more incomings before the season starts, I genuinely believe we could break the top 6, so I'm going to go for 6th place this season.
Where do I think West Ham are going to finish this season? Last season we finished 10th, so then that's the bottom line, and you've got to build on what you've done last season. Realistically, 6th to 10th is wide open, so I'd say we should be aiming for 6th. That should be our target. Where do I actually think we'll finish? I'd probably say 8th.
Wow, where we're going to finish this season. Of course, I want to be optimistic and say top 6, top 7, but I'm going to be a bit prudent here and say 8th. And I reckon that's a decent finish. We finished 10th last season, it's an improvement. At times we get a bit too carried away as West Ham fans. We've made some good signings, but it's going to take time for them to bed in. So I think 8th place will be a good finish. Come on, you Irons.
So there you have it, my friends. Those were Irons United's predictions for the 2019-2020 season. And what did you make of our answers? Do let us know in the comment section below. Also, my friends, feel free to give us your opinion on those 8 topics that we covered in today's episode as well. It'd be great to hear from you guys and get your point of view on all things West Ham going into this brand new season. If you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's the best way to support us and the channel. If you don't want to miss an upload, make sure you're hitting that notification bell. That way you will be informed via email every time a new video hits the channel. And trust me, with this season and the amount we've got planned, that inbox of yours is going to be full to the brim. Please drop a like on today's video as well if you've enjoyed it. That really helps us here at Irons United. But that is it, my friends. We are done and dusted. The only thing that's left now to say is that we cannot wait for that opening day fixture against Manchester City at the London Stadium. I am buzzing for the brand new season. But until next time, my friends, I only have 2 more things to say, and that's that you've all been legends, and come on, you Irons.